Good evening, everyone. Wekiva High School welcome opposite side hitter number 4, Layla Richardson. Fifth in the rotation for the Darters, outside and right side hitter number 2, Lyndon Warren. And serving sixth for Apopka, middle blocker and right side hitter number 3, Lily Messier. The head coach of the Blue Darters, Adalberto Dominguez, and assistant coaches Brittany Hardy and Sue Cevallos. And now let's meet the starting lineup for your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Starting with their reserves, number 2, Madeline Holmes. Number 8, Eliza Calvo Garcia. And number 14, Cassidy Palmer. The starting libero for the Mustangs is 5'4" senior number 4, Jenna Chapek. And starting on the court for Wekiva, serving first is 5'3" junior setter and defensive specialist number 3, Molly Durfus. Second in the rotation for the Mustangs, 5'4" junior outside hitter number 5, Denia Jackson. Third in the rotation for the Mustangs, 5'8" senior middle and right side hitter number 7, Ariana Hall. Serving fourth for the Mustangs, 5'5" junior right side and middle hitter number 0, Chet, 5'6" senior outside. And finally for the Mustangs, serving sixth, 5'6" senior defensive specialist and setter number 1, Emily Harris. The head coach of the Mustangs is Heather Lorenz and assistant coach Talon Allard. The officials for tonight's game are from the Florida Professional Officials Association here in Orlando. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please stand for the presentation of colors by the Wekiva High School Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. Tonight's detail is under the command of Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Curtis Garrett, carrying the U.S. flag. Carrying the Florida state flag is Cadet Ramirez Traverso, and carrying the POW MIA flag is Cadet Second Lieutenant Lissa Hernigen. The Rifle Guards are Cadet Captain Henry Mora and Cadet Technical Sergeant Dariel Gutierrez. And now please remain standing for the singing of our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. The Apopka Chief will be taking you through tonight's varsity contest.
And as we begin tonight's broadcast, that voice you just heard singing the national anthem was Mark Barchi. So, as always, Mark, an excellent job with the vocals. In a number of years, I'd say at least 7 or 8 since Apopka began 0-2.
The Mustangs have the opening possession of the first set, leading their rotation number 3, Molly Durfus.
So, as Mark just mentioned, Molly Durfus, the defensive specialist, will lead off in the serving rotation for Wekiva.
And we are underway here at Mustang Arena. Clean receive for Apopka, and a good-looking attack there. Wekiva does manage to get under it. They'll have to settle for a free ball, but nice recovery from an excellent attack. Here comes a softer touch, and the Mustangs do manage to get under it, but they can't quite get their bearings. That was number 14, Kennedy Underwood, side out to the Darters, leading their rotation number 6, Giovanna Mulder.
So Apopka's rotation Mulder, as Mark just mentioned, Beeville, Underwood, Richardson, Warren.
Mulder picks up the service ace. Yeah, that was one where Jenna J-Pack waited about half a second too long to make a decision how she was going to handle that, and then she ended up just swatting it to the ground. This time, J-Pack watches it whiz by, thought it was going to go out. The line judge thought it was going to go out too, but then realized, oh, wait a minute, that actually was on the line. Keep in mind, lines are good in volleyball. As long as any part of the ball touches the line, that is considered in.
And a 4-0 lead for Apopka. Certainly a different start than what we've seen in the two previous games for Wekiva.
3 aces in the books now for Giovanna Mulder.
And Wekiva did make some changes. We'll get to that in a minute. Here is Durfus.
Hey, Molly Durfus getting cute there. And Apopka recovers. Nice work at the net.
By Beeville.
Good looking attack there by Rosario. Apopka recovers from that as well. And there we get an attack error.
Yeah, by Beeville.
Yep.
So, real quick.
Service returns to the Mustangs. Next in the rotation for Wekiva, number 5, Denia Jackson.
So Cassidy Palmer, the defensive specialist senior, is out for the night. And in her place, Emily Harris.
And I didn't get a great angle on that. I don't know whether it was...
That's Wekiva's point.
Yeah, that was a block. So the block there by Abiana Hall.
And that will cut the lead in half to 4-2. So Emily Harris, who is a starter, but she is officially moving into Cassidy Palmer's spot. She will be a middle blocker, even though it's a little bit different. It's a different position.
Layla Richardson puts a little too much mustard on that attack, and it goes out of bounds behind the end line. So here comes Denia Jackson again with her second service.
Yeah, Emily Harris is actually taking on the same responsibilities as Cassidy Palmer, as we get a 4-4 score now, 4 consecutive for
Layla Richardson
Wekiva.
with another attack error. Her previous attack was long, that one was low, and so a donation to the Mustang cause.
So Palmer is also a middle blocker. Emily Harris will be playing more of the middle blocker in Palmer's stead, as the dig is unable to be handled by Jackson.
Kristen Bevel on the Darters kill. Side outs to Apopka. Next in the rotation for the Darters will also be Bevel.
And Chastity Rosario was moved over to the right side hitter. And then Juliet Rodriguez, who's normally the outside hitter, she will be playing the football equivalent of an athlete, or the volleyball equivalent of an athlete.
Jackson and J-Pack will watch that one whiz by, and they are wise to do so. Service back to the Mustangs. Jenna J-Pack serves as libero next.
Rodriguez will be pretty much all over the court tonight. She will not be playing one specific position.
Nice serve, and it's received well by the Darters. Here comes a short, soft attack from Warren. Mustangs handling that one, sending it over to Rodriguez for the attack.
That's Warren.
Free ball coming back, but a near disaster for the Mustangs. Jackson finally got under it, but Emily Harris can't put enough power behind the attack, and that will cause a side out to the Blue Darters. Next in their rotation, number 14, Kennedy Underwood.
Apopka now takes the 6-5 lead, and I think you could say Wekiva coming back with 4 straight might be something of a surprise.
Yeah, Apopka is known as a kind of perennial contender in volleyball, and Chastity Rosario picks up the side out for the Mustangs.
Yeah, the last couple of years, and I don't mean this in any negative way personally.
Rosario also has the next service.
But they have seen a drop in the quality of the play. They did make the playoffs last year. Of course, with the pandemic, the FHSAA just went back to the old form. And that was the first and second place team in every district qualified for the playoffs. Apopka was the number 2. They lost to Lake Brantley in the district championship tournament.
And Denia Jackson is wide left on that attack. Checking into the game for the Mustangs, number 2, Madeline Holmes. Next to serve for Apopka, number 4, Layla Richardson.
However, Apopka was a 500 team for the 3rd consecutive season. So even though they made the playoffs, definitely not putting up the same records as they were as early as 3 seasons ago, but they do have the 8-6 lead. Of course, Wekiva, we've talked about this during the first 2 as the serve. And that will ace. No, out.
Yeah, Jenna J-Pack lets that one go over her head, and she was correct to do so. Service back to the Mustangs. Next in the rotation for Wekiva, number 10, Juliet Rodriguez.
So Rodriguez, the outside hitter who's playing the football equivalent or the volleyball equivalent of an athlete, and she will not be able to get it over the net.
Service back to Apopka. Next in their rotation, Lyndon Warren. So neither team really able to establish a lot of momentum here. We've had a lot of back and forth side out. Goes to Madeline Holmes on the serve receive. That's nice and clean. Jackson on the attack. And the Darters are there and ready for that.
Attack from Bevel.
Yeah, that libero strike there was a little too hot, and it goes out the right side. Service back to the Mustangs. Emily Harris next in the rotation. You may recall Emily Harris was the libero before Jenna J-Pack took over that position last year.
Harris playing the middle blocker, filling in for Palmer tonight, and she will not be able to get the point.
Kristen Bevel with the kill for the Darters. That's her second tonight. Service back to Apopka 10, serving 8 now for their libero, number 5, Juliana Valdolny. So again, libero can serve in any position in the rotation. They serve for the position, not for the person, and once they have served in that position, they can only serve in that position for the remainder of the set. Good looking attack there, and it turns into a kill. That's Mustang kill by Abiana Hall. Service back to the Mustangs. Checking into the game for Wekiva, number 3, Molly Durfus. Also into the game for Wekiva, number 0, Chastity Rosario. And next to serve will be Molly Durfus. So this is quite a change from the game we saw on Thursday, which was more a game of runs. We're at a 9-10, now 9-11 score. We've already been through the entire rotation once. Service back to the Darters. Next in their rotation, number 6, Giovanna Mulder.
Yeah, and Durfus, who just served, she was the player of the match against Evans last Tuesday. In the meantime, Wekiva.
Rosario is late.
Bad angle.
Yeah, late and low. That one never had a sporting chance, and so the Darters pick up a freebie there on the attack error. 12 serving 9 the score. And Neil, Wekiva is, if you were an odds maker, you might have had the score actually being more than 3 apart at this point in the match.
Well, this is the largest lead of the game for the Darters. And again, I think the biggest surprise is Wekiva came back with 4 points of their own after Apopka opened with 4.
Service back to the Mustangs.
However,
next in the rotation for Wekiva, number 5, Tania Jackson.
It was at roughly the same stage of the first and second sets against Coe, the last match for Wekiva, that they ran out of gas. As they will not this time, too much muster by Layla Richardson.
So Mustangs catch a break there, and we're back to a 1-point set. And if you looked at the JV contest, you thought, oh gosh, this is going to be an early night. And the varsity Mustangs really stepping up here. And if this team had played against Ocoee on Thursday, I think the Mustangs might have come up with a victory there. Now, what remains to be seen is can they keep up this intensity for at least 3 sets?
Yeah, and that was the point that I began to make as the slash.
Darter kill by number 14, Kennedy Underwood. Her seconds tonight, service back to Apopka. Next in the rotation for the Darters, number 13, Kristen Bevel.
So with Bevel getting ready to serve, the outside hitter, number 2, the first set against Ocoee, the score was actually tied 13-13. In the second set, Wekiva was down 16-14. Ocoee wound up winning both of those by over 10 points.
Service back to the Mustangs. Serving as libero for Wekiva, number 4, Jenna J-Pack.
So again, this was about the same time in those first 2 sets against Ocoee that things started going sideways for Wekiva.
Service back to Apopka. Next in the rotation for the Darters, number 14, Kennedy Underwood. So if you look at earned points, Wekiva has 12 points on the board right now. Of those, 2 of them were earned. We have 2 kills in the books for Wekiva so far. The remaining 10 have been unearned points, and so Apopka has really been helping Wekiva out to stay in this game, although they still maintain a 3-point lead. Looking at the other side, Apopka has 15 points in the books. That's coming off of 4 aces and 4 kills, so 8 of those 15 points are earned, and 7 of those points were free. Service back to the Mustangs. Next in the rotation for Wekiva, number 0, Chastity Rosario.
So a 15-13 deficit, Wekiva facing. Rosario, one of 9 seniors. And she puts the ball into play. Wekiva with their opportunity. Set. Harris, kill, attempt, no. Saved on the back row. The attempt by Beeville. Set by Naldoni. And Apopka making a mistake. Out of bounds, 15-14. First set of tonight's match between the Apopka inner-city rivals. And so Rosario, the number 4 server, is playing the right side hitter tonight. Sets the ball, attempt to kill, saved by Jackson.
That's tough placement there by Calvo Garcia, but Juliet Rodriguez converts, causes a double hit on the Apopka side.
And we are tied at 15-all in this set 1. Again, Apopka on the northwest side of town. The older school, about 80 years. Wekiva in its 15th season on the southeast side. A dive.
Nice serve, barely handled there by the Darters. Calvo Garcia decides to try for a solo tap, see if she can catch the Darters off guard. She does not.
Beeville again on the attack for Apopka. Wekiva's turn. Now they'll just set it into the Apopka.
Yeah, free ball there by Emily Harris. Almost got something with it, though.
Beeville.
Free ball coming to J-Pack. Here comes Rodriguez, and too hot there. Apopka knew better than, oh no, the Darters are called into the net, so Wekiva gets away with one there. Madeline Holmes returns to the game for the Mustangs.
And Wekiva takes its first lead of the match. And quite frankly, Mark, you know, we don't have time to go look up all the records, but I do not remember Wekiva ever leading Apopka 31 points into any match.
Yeah, it is certainly, like I said, if you were an odds maker, you probably wouldn't have put short odds on this position in the game. So Wekiva definitely outperforming expectations here, which is great for their early season confidence. Nice looking serve coming in from Holmes.
And a 2-point lead. Another unforced error from Apopka.
Well, that all went back to Madeline Holmes' excellent serve. It knocked them off kilter, and they needed 4 touches to get it over. Of course, the limit is 3. And so that'll go down as a ball handling error for Apopka. Another beautiful serve by Holmes. And Naldoni can barely get there. Free ball coming back over to Jackson. Calvo Garcia tries to dump it over, but the Darters Mulder is there for that. And now another soft touch from Apopka. That one will find the mark as Lyndon Warren picks up the Apopka kill, her first of the night. Service back to Apopka. Next to check into the game for the Darters is number 12, Isabel Reyes.
So a game in which we have not seen any runs. Both teams had 4-point runs to begin the game. Other than that, it's been back and forth in terms of alternating points. Apopka looking to get the first win of the season as Rodriguez with the kill.
Well,
save.
no, they are going to get it over. Yes!
Saves and turns what appeared to be a point against into a point for.
And that's one of those things that a more experienced team will know. You do not stop playing until you hear the whistle. It was a beautiful attack by Rodriguez. 9 times out of 10 that turns into a kill, but this is the one time it didn't, and the Mustangs just weren't ready. Here, Calvo Garcia gets beaten at the net, and the Darters retake the lead. Returning to the game for the Mustangs, number 3, Molly Durfus.
Yeah, we were talking 2 points ago. Just keep that in mind. Keep that Apopka point, which tied the game at 17-17 in mind. That might be one of those watershed points, turning a against point into a point for, and now going for a 3rd consecutive point. And Holmes and
Lily
J-Pack
SCA gets it at the net for Apopka. Yeah, that was one of those where it really went back to the serve-receive. The serve-receive put the ball right on top of the net, which is just where you don't want to put the ball on a serve-receive because it gives the other team an opportunity for a solo kill with the ball momentum headed in their direction, and that is precisely what Messier did. Did anybody touch it? Waiting for a signal. No, they are going to call that out. So the Mustangs catch a break there. Side out service to Wekiva. Next in the rotation for the Mustangs, number 10, Juliet Rodriguez. Rodriguez has had a beautiful strike so far in this first set. We'll see if she can continue that from behind the service stripe. That one is floating toward the back row, and Apopka handles it well.
Attack from Apopka, saved by Holmes. J. Peck will set. The soft tap by Jackson.
Yeah, made something out of nothing there. That was a little better than just a free ball.
J. Peck again setting.
Yeah, that was a rough set, rough placement. Madeline Holmes has to settle for a free ball there. Nothing else she can do.
And Warren again with the assault.
Rodriguez makes the dig. Here comes Emily Harris.
Yeah, the longest rally of the set. Warren will go back to work. This time the soft tap and a whistle and a Apopka point. Net violation.
So a tough break. You hate to lose a service that was going that long and that well that way. Yeah, but service back to the Darters. Lyndon Warren up next in the rotation.
So Warren, the 5-setter, a server, outside hitter, right side specialist. J. Peck. This is Harris, so will attempt the kill.
It was a good look, and they're going to say Apopka in the net. So Apopka returns the favor that Wekiva gave them, and next in the rotation for the Mustangs, number 1, Emily Harris.
20-19, Apopka with the lead over Wekiva. Set 1, varsity action, Harris.
Multi-sport athlete there, and she's going to pick up the ace. Emily Harris, Mustang service ace. And just like that, Neil, it's a new ball game. 20-20 the score. We're all tied up. Of course, remember, you have to win by 2. And the Blue Darters request their first timeout of set number 1. We'll be back for a thrilling conclusion of the first set here from Mustang Arena in just a moment.
Set 1, Mustang Arena, the site. 20-20 the score, Apopka and Wekiva, the cross-city rivalry. And Emily Harris, who has been on serve for 3 consecutive points, will go back to work.
And if you use the JV game as a barometer for what you would expect out of the varsity game, you were sorely mistaken. Mustangs very much alive in this one. And a good look there from Jackson, just couldn't quite keep the angle in bounds. Side out to the Tartars, serving as libero up next, number 5, Juliana Naldolny.
So Wekiva, if you look at their makeup as far as their composition, they don't have particularly tall players. So they're not going to be a team that's going to put up a lot of kills. They're not going to make their living as Naldolny
and that was a rough placement on the serve receive, but the Mustangs catch a break on the back row attack.
Yeah, and Coach Dominguez immediately came up to our umpire to plead his case.
Back row attack is called against the Darters. Side out to the Mustangs. Chastity Rosario returns to the game for Madeline Holmes. And next to serve at the top of the rotation, Molly Durfus.
So tied at 20-20 as Durfus serves. Apopka now on the attack. That's Beeville, and she will score the point. The pound and ground attack.
Darter kill by number 13, Kristen Bevel. That's her third tonight. Service back to Apopka. Next in their rotation, number 11, Mercedes Portalatin.
So Wekiva probably is not going to get a lot of kills to begin with, but they certainly do need to improve that part of their game. This is Jackson hitting it over to Apopka.
And nobody's there.
Yeah, Porta Layton looking to set, but no one on the receive end, and we are tied at 22-all in the first set.
Denia Jackson will get credit for a kill there, but frankly, that was quite defendable, and Apopka just was caught napping there, and so that ties it up again at 22.
Beeville now on the right side, attack. Wekiva's turn.
Rosario sends it over and easily handled by Portalatin.
Beeville on the left side. Durfus sets. JPEC double set.
Oh, that's
Rodriguez attempting the soft tap, but no dice.
That was close.
And Underwood slashes the point home. Apopka 23-22.
Kennedy Underwood with the kill.
And as
she will also have, Kristen Bevel will have the next service for Apopka.
Beeville, the outside hitter, number 2 server. To wrap up the point about the kill, they're averaging only 6 per game or set and negative .022 percentage.
Wow, Molly Durfus managed to bail out Jenna J-Pack on that one.
Oh, and a beautiful location for Warren. And
Lyndon Warren on the kill. Set points, Apopka. Timeout, Mustangs.
So Wekiva has given it all. It has been a long, long time that they have found themselves in a situation where providing Apopka a challenge and an opportunity to win. However, they are still facing set point 24-22.
If you're not already doing so, we invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We are at Wekiva Sports on all of those services. Again, at Wekiva Sports, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Follow us for live updates from many of our athletic events, as well as news and information about our athletes and alumni. All right, so an opportunity for Apopka to seal the deal here in a set that probably many Blue Darters fans did not expect Wekiva to be competitive in, but now Wekiva very much still alive in this one, especially with rally scoring as we get back to live action.
That's Kristen Beeville with the serve, and Wekiva.
Juliet Rodriguez picks up the Mustangs skill, side out to Wekiva.
So now remember,
next in the rotation will be Jenna J-Pack.
In volleyball,
must win by 2.
Yes, so JPEC, who has 6 aces.
Mustangs will need 3 more points before Apopka gets 1.
And we got a dig here.
Woo! Mustangs, is it going to stay in? No, it does not. That takes us to the end of set number 1. It was as close as it could possibly be. A 2-point victory for the Darters in the first set. 25-23 is the final score of set number 1. And Apopka takes a 1-0 lead for the match over the Mustangs.
And so we will return with varsity action from Mustang Arena, home of the Wekiva Mustangs. Mustang Arena, the site of varsity action on a Tuesday night. Thank you for joining us. If you are just tuning in, Wekiva dropped the first set to Apopka. That in itself probably is not a surprise. However, the score was 25-23. Wekiva actually led 16-15.
But I do want to go back to earned points, though, because Wekiva had 1 ace and 5 kills. So out of those 23 points, only 6 of them were earned. The remaining 17 points were all darter errors. So I don't want to take anything away from Wekiva, who definitely is showing a lot more pep in their step since last Thursday,
yes,
and has made the contribution they need to make in order to stay in this game. I don't want to take anything away from them, but I do want to clarify that Apopka is having a rough night by their standards.
Yes, but I also want to point out, though, Mark, too, we talked about kills in that first set. Wekiva is not a team that's going to get a tremendous amount of kills. They're not going to make their living with the kill. They just don't have the height, as you can see. But with that said, they still were not doing very well. But they have 4 kills tonight through 1 series. They had 6 in all 3 against Alcoa on Thursday.
The Darters have the opening possession of set number 2. Leading their rotation is number 12.
So a back and forth set 1. Both teams scored 4 points at the beginning. However, Apopka was able to get 2 consecutive points, breaking a 22-22 tie, and that was really your difference. And of course, the final score was 25-23. So Isabel Reyes does have the ball. She is prepared to serve, but we are getting some discussion from our umpires.
And we also have apparently a roster change. Mila Perry, number 15, has been added to the roster. She was not originally registered as a player, and that's the pause right here. She has not entered the game yet until this point. This is her first appearance, and she was wearing an illegal necklace there, so that was the issue.
Yeah, and again, because we do have some time here, Mark, talking again about the kills, Wekiva averaged 6 per set coming into this game. Hitting percentage was actually on the negative side, .022, and they only had 2 blocks as well. So again, 4 serves already. They had 6 after 3 in the game against Alcoa. Apopka comes in 0-2 tonight, losing to Windermere first and then Olympia. Both of those were shutout. 3 straight victories, 3-set victories by both of those opponents. And Apopka is a team that did get into the FHSAA postseason tournament, if you prefer state playoffs last year, but they certainly have taken a drop in the quality of their play. They've gone 3 straight seasons with around 500 records.
All right, Perry is now ready to play, having removed all jewelry, and she's registered in the roster. That is going to be an administrative yellow card against the Blue Darters. So that's not considered a disciplinary or unsportsmanlike action, but it does mean that if they were to do it again, that they would have a penalty point against them. So it's uncommon to see that, but for what it's worth, that is registered in the scorebook now, and the Darters open with an ace from Isabel Reyes.
So 1-0 Apopka. Reyes' first ace of the game. Just wanted to say, pointing out Apopka having around 500 records the last several seasons, the last 3 seasons, as the score now 2-0. 2 consecutive aces by Reyes. You certainly see Wekiva going up a little bit and Apopka going down. Now again, we're only 3, this is only the 3rd match, so I'm sure Apopka will get better as the season moves on, but I cannot remember the last time Apopka opened 0-2.
Here comes Perry, and her first stat of the game will be a good one. Mila Perry picks up the kill.
3-0 Apopka.
So now if you're Wekiva, you've got to not let this get in your head. 3-0 is still very early. That's nothing in the grand scheme of things. If you let that get into your head, then it's quickly snowballs and it'll be 10-0 before long. Wekiva does not return this one. Madeline Holmes watched it go by, waiting for the official signal. Line judge is signaling in, or at least is holding her arm in that general position.
Coach Dominguez, the Apopka coach, is debating
Well, we're getting a reserve signal from the tower official. Apopka's coach would rather just have the point. Again, the line judge signaled in. Madeline Holmes thought it was going to go out. I have the worst angle in the entire room, so don't trust anything I have to say about it.
So again, going back to your point, Mark, you don't want, if you're Wekiva, the snowball effect. They were down 3-0. We're waiting to hear what the result of the last serve was. But if you go back to the last set, set 1, and the score was 22 all, Apopka's taken 6 of the last 7.
So we'll get an officials conference here with the coach here, and
okay, Reyes is still holding the ball, getting ready to serve. And this point is going to go to Apopka. So 4-0, 7 of the last 8 from Apopka, and that streak does come to an end with the unforced error.
And so, Neil, I did confirm with the officials that was ruled a reserve, so nobody got the point there, so it remains 3-0 and now 3-1. Checking into the game for the Mustangs, Chastity Rosario, and service goes to the Mustangs for the first time, Molly Durfus.
So Apopka, as you mentioned, has been making a number of unforced errors, and they let Wekiva give them a break. And
nice recovery there, and number 7, Abiana Hall, picks up the first kill of the set for the Mustangs. It's her second of the match.
That's Hall's 13th kill of the season. And so Durfus back on the serve, the number 1 server. And boy, that's the kind of stuff that makes coaches' hair turn gray.
Service back to the Darters. Next in the rotation for Apopka, number 2, Lyndon Warren.
So Warren, the outside hitter, number 2 in this set. And she serves. Durfus sets. The attempted kill by Hall. Saved by Apopka. They'll go on the attack. No, they will not.
That was a really rough placement there by Underwood. And nobody really had an honest chance at that from an attack perspective. Service to the Mustangs and Dania Jackson. Jackson service away, and it's short. The Darters have to struggle to step up to it, and Janiyah Jackson picks up the ace.
And we are tied at 4-4, Mark.
Yeah, so that was
to your point. They have come back from that 3-0 deficit.
Lyndon Warren there was just a half a second too late and a step behind.
And Jackson unable to get all of her hand on that serve. You could just see she was not able to get the full
service
strength.
Back to the Darters. Next in the rotation, number 14, Kennedy Underwood.
Underwood, middle blocker, goes to work, and certainly she does a nice job.
Nice work by Juliet Rodriguez, bailing out what was a really poor serve receive. Wekiva stays alive in this one, and that was a rough set. Jenna J-Pac's going to settle for a free ball, but at least the Mustangs live to fight another day.
Reyes sets, and Perry, who you mentioned, was not on the roster, hits it out of bounds.
Service back to the Mustangs. Next in the rotation to serve as libero, Jenna J-Pac.
So I would say through the first 10 points of the second set, Wekiva certainly proved they can match Apopka. They can meet them point for point. The question is, can they get those couple of points, which turns a close set into victory?
Juliet Rodriguez with a Mustang kill. That's her third tonight, first of this set.
Yes, and Rodriguez now has 8 kills for the season as Perry attacks, save. Jackson sets. Durfus, the setter, will have to hit it over.
Yeah, they have no choice but to settle for a free ball there. Just wasn't ready for that.
Richardson for Apopka, and she sets up the point. Rodriguez unable to get the ball inbounds. We're tied at 6-all. And so Perry will go on the serve, number 4 in the rotation for the Blue Darters, who are looking for their first victory. 0-2 start. Durfus will set on Wekiva. Rodriguez just hits it over and it's slammed back. by Robinson, the middle blocker. 7-7.
Blocked by Jada Robinson.
The fourth tie of the second set.
Yeah, that one looked like it was almost going to go into the net. Robinson had her work made a little bit easier for her. The net, I think, nicked that one and slowed it down.
Perry on the serve, and
free ball. Mustangs managed to live to fight another day there.
Set by Reyes. Slam.
J-Pack has to send it right back over.
Apopka back in the lead, 8-7 in the second set.
Yeah, that was a tough placement there, and it came right over to the score table.
And so the lead now grows to 9-6. Credit
Layla
the
Perry
ace.
with the ace. Yeah, that's one of those things that if it were possible to do that on purpose, you would do it every serve. But if you can manage to just catch the lip of the net and have it change the trajectory of the ball into an apparently random angle, it's almost impossible to return those. There's another one. This one, Jackson does manage to get under.
Durfus, the setter, again, sending the ball over.
Years ago,
and she pounds that ball just inside the...
Well, it doesn't matter because Wekiva is in the net.
Okay.
So, yeah, years and years ago, it used to not be legal to touch the net on the serve. You'd actually lose the service for that. Now it is legal as long as it goes over. Checking into the game for the Darters, number 6, Giovanna Mulder.
So I will say this, Mark, as we get ready for the next serve for Perry. She has scored 4 in a row.
And I think that's about the longest run we've seen from anybody tonight.
Yeah, 4, it ties the longest run. If you remember, set 1 began with 4-point runs by both teams. And I'll get back to my point in a minute. As Jackson goes for the kill, she gets the break there on the net. Attack from number 1, if you want to call it that, Adams.
Durfus to Harris, and she's low. Needed a little more height on that, needed to jump a little earlier. And so, to your point, Neil, now we do officially have the longest run by either team all night at 5. And the Mustangs request their first timeout of set number 2. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back from Mustang Arena. 11-6, the Darters lead midway through the second set. Welcome back to Mustang Arena. Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs, here with Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief. And Apopka now on a 5-point scoring run, the longest run by either team of the night. Wekiva deciding that they needed to put a stop to that momentum. Coach Lorenz calling the timeout there and see if we can right the momentum. A 5-point advantage for Wekiva, and here comes Perry again, and it's going to be an ace. J-Pack looks dumbstruck there as she realizes, like, oh my gosh, I was just not awake for that one. Needed to take a step forward about a second sooner than that in order to get under that one.
The second ace for Perry, 12-6 to score now. Perry goes to work, uses that jump serve.
That time J-Pack was ready.
And the attack again from Beeville. And success, and now Wekiva's, for the most part, gone toe-to-toe, point for point.
Kristen Bevel on the kill.
But now, as you mentioned, Mark, a little bit earlier, this could be a snowball. 7 consecutive points for Apopka with Perry on the serve.
Perry picks up ace number 3 of the night. And again, remember, she didn't participate in the first set at all. I wasn't paying attention to the bench. I'm not sure if she arrived late, if maybe she had a conflict with the start time of tonight's game. But
Coach Dominguez inserted her. Yeah,
clearly a secret weapon for the Darters.
And certainly, it might be coincidence, but certainly he looks good. As the streak has now gone up to 9 in a row.
And that's 4 unreturned serves from Mila Perry out of the 6 that she has had the streak on.
So the first set was 25-23 in favor of Apopka, as close as possible victory. And Wekiva's going to have to find some magic and some streak here.
Nice work by Durfus, but Emily Harris just can't stop herself from slamming into the net. Had to approach way too fast and couldn't halt her momentum, so it doesn't matter where the placement of the attack was.
Apopka looking for its first victory of the season, losing to Windermere and Olympia in 3 sets.
Rodriguez on the serve receive. She'll also have the attack here. And she is we're going to say did not get over the aerial. There we go.
So before the break, I was going to say, Mark, that Apopka, Wekiva has certainly reduced its unforced errors, and in particular the net violations. Even though they're down.
Rodriguez puts on the brakes. Nice work there. And here we get a darter kill from number 7, Jada Robinson. And we'll pause as the Mustangs request their second timeout of set number 2. So this will be the final timeout for Wekiva. They won't be able to stop the game again, but we'll take a break with them. We'll be right back from Mustang Arena.
Apopka in the midst of a 12-point run, a 6-6 tie. Perry has been on the serve for all 12 of these points. Apopka with a 1-0 lead. That's Rodriguez. Apopka on the attack. Beeville, seen her tonight.
Nice work there by J-Pack on the dig. Emily Harris with a rough angle. Manages to get it over anyway and stay out of the net. Coming right back.
That's Beeville for Apopka. Saved by Jackson.
And some miscommunication there. Wekiva settles for a free ball. And Juliet Rodriguez on a free ball kill for the Mustangs. Service back to Wekiva. Next in the rotation will be number 0, Chastity Rosario. And Neil, I was just about to compliment Apopka on really cleaning up their game from the first set. They've been much sharper and many fewer errors than we saw in the first set. And there, finally, they blinked.
Yeah, and by the way, that point for Wekiva broke a 12-point streak for Apopka. Score is now 18-7. Before the break, I did want to bring up and to further expand on your point, looking at the Wekiva side, Wekiva made a number of unforced errors. I forgot what the amount was, but it was at least 50% of their points against the points that they gave up were against Coe. To be honest, that game against Coe on Thursday night was just a roughly played game from both sides, not very well executed in terms of the fundamentals. Wekiva, until this 12-point streak by Apopka, had really limited those unforced errors. Unfortunately, during this 12-point streak, I believe they have made 5 unforced errors. And the net violation, we saw 2 of those right before the break. So again, to expand on your point, Wekiva, the bugaboo came back to the unforced errors, while Apopka improved on theirs.
Yes, we'll have to see if Wekiva can take this opportunity to reorient that momentum. And a correction to the rotation. Emily Harris will now serve for Wekiva.
Okay, and Harris is someone you want serving right now. She has 5 aces coming into this game.
Yeah, Juliet Rodriguez had a beautiful play there on that most recent service that turned into a free ball kill. That was one that Apopka should have returned, frankly, because it wasn't an honest-to-goodness attack. That was a play of desperation by Rodriguez. But finally, like I said, Apopka blinked. They had been overall, though, much sharper, much more on their game here in the second set than they were in the first. And now Wekiva is going to have to see if they can respond in kind. Now, again, this rotation confusion is actually, I mean, it's not as common at the varsity level, but it is very common early in the season. Rotations are very difficult to keep track of when you don't have the paper in front of you, and the cadence of the game can get disorienting very easily. However, when this kind of thing happens, it has kind of a similar effect to a timeout in that it just kind of lets all the air out of the room.
Well, I'm sure Wekiva, if you were to ask each of the players, would have no problem with it. A different story if you're Apopka. Again, coming off that 12-point streak, by far the longest of this match. We are in the second set.
I think you told me, Neil, a minute ago that 4 points was the previous longest streak, and now 12, so that blew that out of the water by 3 times.
Yeah, the match began with both teams scoring 4 consecutive points, and then Apopka also went on a 4 consecutive point streak later in set 1.
All right, so now JPAC switches back in for Aviana Hall. That's a libero swap, doesn't count as a substitution. Libero rule instituted, some 15-ish years ago, copied from the college rules playbook that allows teams to be more competitive defensively, taking one of your top defensive players and letting them stay in the game for more services, letting them stay in the back row specifically for more services.
And now we get back to action. Beeville with the kill, JPEC with the dig. Apopka sets again, and another attack from Robinson. Durfus, the setter, sets.
JPAC has to get rid of that one and manages to do so successfully.
The high heat, and a little too high and a little too much heat.
Yeah, that's Mila Perry, the late entry to the game, who had that streak of 12 points under her watch as the server, and of those 12 points, 4 of them were service aces from her. So that one was a good look, but just didn't quite have the right angle, and Emily Harris with a soft serve into the net there, service back to the Darters. Next in their rotation, number 13, Kristen Beville.
So Beville, who seems like we're calling out her name on every other touch, the outside hitter.
5 kills in the books for her tonight. That was
Harris.
Almost a lift from Durfus, and Emily Harris just settles to get it over.
And another slam attack from Warren, but too much heat.
Yeah, the Mustangs are wise not to swing at that one. Not sure if they could have if they wanted to, but one way or the other. It comes back, service to the Mustangs. Juliet Rodriguez next in the rotation for Wekiva.
So again, talked about eliminating those unforced errors. Wekiva also is doing a nice job on kills and blocks, but that's gone away here in the second set. Nice save, dig by JPEC. Durfus sets, the behind the back. Set by Apopka, attacked by Robinson. And Wekiva unable to get their set down.
Yeah, Rosario trying to be too cute by half there with like a reverse one-handed. I mean, it would have been cool if it worked, but...
Yeah, and again, those are the mistakes that we did not see through the first set and a half of
Checking
this
into
match.
the game for the Darters, number 10, Hannah George, and she will also have the next service for the Darters.
So Neil Fisher, Mark Barchi on the call. This is varsity action. Apopka serving.
And that serve is wide left, so Wekiva catches a break. Service back to the Mustangs. Next in the rotation for Wekiva will be number 0, Chastity Rosario.
And handling the video aspect of the broadcast is the broadcast production department at Wekiva, headed by Keith Dickinson.
Yes, who is your brand new Teacher of the Year at Wekiva. So congratulations to Mr. Dickerson as Rosario picks up the service ace. That was announced earlier today. So we put that up on our Twitter and Facebook feeds. Awfully deserving. And certainly we can't thank him and his students enough for really taking our broadcasting up to the next level over the last few years. Jackson puts a lot of heat on it, and in fact a little bit too much. It's an attack error. Service back to the Darters. Next in the rotation for Apopka will be number 6, Giovanna Mulder. Now keep in mind, Wekiva has burned both of their timeouts for the second set. So if Mulder gets hot here, there really isn't anything that Coach Lorenz can do about it. Hall Going for a soft touch, and it works. Aliana Hall with a Mustang kill.
Also remember, Wekiva is playing without number 14, Cassidy Palmer.
Returning to the top of the rotation for the Mustangs, number 3, Molly Durfus.
Palmer, the defensive specialist and outside hitter.
Now, of course, this is a much different situation than we found ourselves in the first set. Wekiva cannot simply trade points with Apopka. They've got to get a serious streak of their own going if they want to be able to get back into this. Durfus not able to put enough power behind that to get the free ball over, and service goes back to the Darters with Lyndon Warren. 3 points away from sealing the set now. Here comes Warren. J-Pack manages to step up there, and a miscommunication between Rodriguez and Hall. We've talked about those communication problems repeatedly over the first week of the season, and it appears that all those kinks are not quite yet worked out. Warren again.
J-Pack save, set by Durfus. Hall.
Mustangs might have got away with a lift there, but Rodriguez looking for Durfus. Here comes Jackson. She's got it.
Finds out.
Denia Jackson with a Mustang kill.
Jackson finding the right back corner. So now, Mark, you look at that score and you just can't help but wonder what could have been.
Jackson also has the next service for Wekiva. Yeah, this is one of those things that, like,
12-point run.
Yeah, if this game were played to 30 or 35, you'd like Wekiva's odds a lot better. But Wekiva now has to score 12 points before Apopka scores 2. Well, there's one. So again, now Wekiva needs 11 points before Apopka scores 2.
But yeah, it was that 12-point streak and just a number of mistakes by Wekiva, which they have not made outside of the streak. And boy, Beeville, she's not just touching the ball every other touch.
Kristen Bevel gets the kill for the Darters. That's her 6th tonight. Set point, Apopka. Next in their rotation, number 14, Kennedy Underwood.
Underwood, the middle blocker. And she goes to work looking for that one last point to secure set 3 victory. And she doesn't need any help.
Underwood with an ace, and that takes us to the end of set number 2. 25-14 is the final score of the second set, and the Darters extend their lead for the match to 2-0. We'll be back from Mustang Arena with the third set, which will now be a must-win for Wekiva right after this break.
And welcome back to Mustang Arena. Neil Fisher, Mark Barchi on the call. Wekiva facing a 2-0 set deficit heading into this third set. We've seen both ends of the spectrum from Wekiva, Mark. Apopka won the first set 25-23. A nip and tuck affair, both teams scoring 4 points to start the match. And then 21-21, Apopka put together 2 points, and that was enough as the final deficit was 2 points. Then last set, back and forth until 6-6 when Apopka rambled off 12 consecutive points. And also, if you look at the mistakes, we talked about the unforced errors in the first 2 games that Wekiva played against Evans and Ocoee. A lot of unforced errors, they reduced them tonight, except during that 12-point run.
Yeah, certainly Apopka from set 1 to set 2 really managed to clean up their game and polish it, while Wekiva maybe lost a little bit of steam. And we've talked about this last season and into the first week of this season, that one of Wekiva's challenges has been stamina, just the ability to keep gas in the tank through at least 3, if not 5 sets. That's something that we thought maybe we saw in the Evans game.
And we certainly saw it against Ocoee.
Yeah, but Evans, certainly Ocoee, we saw that happen. We're starting to see it again here. We're going to see if the Mustangs are able to right the ship.
Yeah, so against Ocoee, which was Wekiva's last game, they played last Thursday. The first set was tied 13-13. The second set, Wekiva was trailing 16-14 by only 2 points.
The Mustangs have the opening possession of set number 3, leading the rotation, Molly Durfus.
And both sets were won by Ocoee by at least 8 points. So certainly there's your proof of getting their endurance, their stamina not being quite where it needs to be.
Hall had a good look there.
Warren with the attack, and the pound is too much, just outside the inbound.
And Mela Perry got a nice looking dig there, but it was all for naught as Apopka opens with an attack error. Durfus getting ready for her second service of this set.
First point that Wekiva's won.
Soft into the right side. Rodriguez has to dive for it. Hall getting cute there, but Perry is ready for it. And we have a ball handling error there with Messier in the middle. And so 2 consecutive donations to the Mustang cause. And Wekiva will take it any way they can get it.
And this is the first time Wekiva has a 2-0 lead.
Soft comes to the libero. And another ball handling error there. I think that might have been Messier again.
That was Messier, the middle blocker. And Wekiva, Apopka began set 2 winning the first 3 points. So Wekiva takes the page out of Apopka's book as Durfus goes back to the set.
Take a note that we also have, oh my goodness, that was another miscue on Apopka's part. Wekiva opens up with a 4-0 run. There is some personnel differences on Apopka's side of the net. Notably, the libero has been changed out. That's now Hannah George wearing the alternate color jersey. It has been Naldoni, and the Darters just sit and watch as Molly Durfus picks up the service ace. And you saw Perry gesture to Bevel as if she, not Bevel, excuse me, Warren, as if she thought that was Warren's. Warren looked right back at her. And those same communication problems that we've been criticizing Wekiva for all night now seem to have caught on over on the other side of the net.
That's Hall, the tip. Hall again, a little bit more mustard. The attack sent over by Bevel, and the 5-point streak is no more.
Kristen Bevel gets the first kill of the third set for Apopka. It's her 7th overall for the match. Service to the Darters for the first time of this set. Mercedes Portalatine will serve first. So note there that Portalatine was not in the opening rotation at all. She now leads the rotation for the third set. So Apopka doing a lot of personnel changes as Rosario takes the attack there. Apopka settles for a free ball coming back, but Denia Jackson was looking around saying, hey, isn't anybody going to get this? And the answer to that was a resounding no.
So Portalatine back to work. And Rosario just not positioned correctly. A 5-0 lead is now 5-3. As Portalaton goes back to work.
And of course, Varsity being best of 5, this is a must-win set. Hall, this time, finally, she's been trying to do that all set and now gets one. Abiana Hall with the solo kill for the Mustangs. She will, next in the service rotation for Wekiva, Nia Jackson. Abiana Hall has been trying to get that deceptive one-touch move to fall ever since the beginning of the third set. It does that time. There's Jenna J-Pack handling Mila Perry's attack. Hall again. Abiana Hall with the solo kill. And that maybe was more than she deserved, but she'll take it any way she can get it. That I don't think was what she meant to do, but it was probably better than what she meant to do.
Yeah, certainly if you look at what she's been doing in this third set, you could make a case she deserved to get that point. Unfortunately,
service back to the Darters. Next in their rotation, Lyndon Warren.
Wekiva unable to follow that point by Hall. And so Warren, who's been a main cog in the Blue Darter machine, serves.
Mustangs trying to come back. Oh, Hall too hot on that one. It was a good idea. I thought Wekiva might settle for a free ball there. Hall instead tried to go for a full throttle attack, but maybe should have pulled the throttle back by a couple of notches.
Apopka coming in 0-2, looking for its first win of the season.
Tough serve received by J-Pack, and yeah, Rodriguez didn't have a sporting chance to get to that one. And that's going to be an ace in the books for Warren. Her first ace of the night. It brings it back to a 2-point set, 5 serving 7.
The jump serve from Warren. Set by Durfus. Rodriguez with the attempt to kill. And we are tied at 7-7.
Yeah, that I don't know if that would have gone over anyway, but it doesn't matter because Messier did a nice clean jump, got all the height she needed over the net to make sure she didn't get called for a net violation, and did not leave anything to chance.
So we've been seeing the Blue Darter train here, 6 of the last 7 points. And that's Rodriguez coming back.
Juliet Rodriguez on the Mustang kill. And you can see the excitement on her face and the rest of her teammates. That is a huge emotional booster for the team. You got to win some points that way. I know, Neil, you and I talked about kills earlier. Jenna J-Pack serving as libero.
Yeah, 4th kill for Rodriguez.
And that's one of those intangibles, as that one was too hot. Service back to the Blue Darters. Next in the rotation for Apopka will be number 3, Lily Messier. So you and I were talking earlier about how Wekiva, especially in the first set, a lot of their points came off of Apopka errors rather than off of Wekiva kills or aces. And you can win a set that way as Messier picks up the ace, but you can't really build momentum that way. You don't get that enthusiasm, you don't get that emotional wind from Apopka making errors the way that you do getting those particularly dazzling kills. Sometimes you need a shot in the arm from something like that, and Juliet Rodriguez really delivered that a couple of services ago. Unfortunately, Wekiva not really able to capitalize on that momentum as they've had 2 unforced errors in a row, and now 3 to follow that up.
And Apopka takes its first lead of the third set. They do lead 2-0. So Wekiva in a must-win situation. And I did want to point out, though, Mark, in that first set and really through the first half of the second set, Wekiva, even though they were getting more points, we'll finish in a minute here.
Yeah, that's Rodriguez doing exactly the same thing she did on the last service, just punching it into the next zip code.
Despite the fact that Wekiva did get a significant amount of points from Apopka, they still did have more kills than they have in the previous 2 matches. So they did improve. Unfortunately, as we mentioned,
yeah, Apopka improved more.
Yeah, and they also, the 12-point streak that Apopka had in set 2, which really, unless something drastically changes, is going to be the defining story of this match. Apopka made a number of those unforced errors during that 12-point streak.
And there, Kristen Bevel slapped that one with her palm. That's not the right way to hit it over the net, and it didn't have enough power. Service back to the Mustangs with Chastity Rosario.
So Wekiva comes in 1-1. And they will now fall behind 11-9. Rosario unable to get the ball over the net, the senior.
Service errors have been a problem for the last couple of weeks as Madeline Holmes returns to the game for the Mustangs. Next in the rotation for Apopka, number 15, Mila Perry, who you will recall was responsible for that 12-point run in the previous set, and in the process picked up 4 aces while doing so.
Yeah, Perry on the service.
See if she can repeat that performance here, and, well, there's a start. Mila Perry picks up her first ace of the third set, her 5th overall. And remember, she didn't play in the first set at all, so all of her stats come from sets 2 and 3.
Perry back with the jump serve.
And that one, again, there's that communication problem between J-Pack and Jackson. Both of them looking at each other, neither one of them looking at the ball.
Now, if you're Wekiva, obviously you have to win 3 sets in a row, a tall task. But you have to be careful here. Again, the snowball effect. We saw it when Perry opened up that 12-point run. And they won't have to worry about Perry with their
making
only
a
bad serve.
gutsy move there. That was close to being in, but she thought it was going out, and she was right. Checking into the game for the Darters, number 1, Taylor Adams. Next to serve for Wekiva, Juliet Rodriguez.
Yeah, so my point is you don't want this to become a runaway. You've played for the most part probably about as well as you could expect to play at this point in the season, and you want to get back to that form.
Mustangs settle for a free ball. Darters with a much sharper edge. And that's Kristen Bevel on the kill. That's her 8th kill tonight. Service back to the Darters. Bevel will also have the next serve.
So Apopka looking for its first win of the season. Of course, we are only 3 matches in. Apopka losing in 3 sets to Windermere and Olympia. Of course, they're known as in that upper level of the upper tier of volleyball teams.
Service returns to the Mustangs. Next in the rotation for Wekiva, number 1, Emily Harris. Also keep in mind, Neil, that not just Wekiva, but every team in Florida and probably the country is coming off of perhaps the weirdest season in history. It was a very abridged season. We lost 4 weeks off of the season, so most teams had a lot fewer games than they would normally have on their schedule. Some athletes choosing not to participate last year. And maybe certainly returning this year as Abiana Hall has the attack error. Service back to the Darters. Next in the rotation for Apopka.
Yeah, and I'd also say, Mark, that part of the problem too, although it's much more subtle, is we didn't even know if we were going to have a season until about 2 weeks before the start.
Now serving for Apopka, Jada Robinson. So yeah, Neil,
we went back and forth like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, and even a lot of teams that did end up with games ended up in quarantines, and there was a lot of changes to the schedule. It was just the strangest season, and that disrupts the long-term momentum of your program, whether you're Apopka or Wekiva or anybody else, as Wekiva gets called into the net here.
Yeah, and that's for any sport. So now 16-11, Apopka, and I think we're now seeing Wekiva again, the same problem against Akoli, running out of steam.
Aviana Hall picks up the Mustang kill. That's her 6th kill of the match. Service back to Wekiva, and they return to the top of their rotation with number 3, Molly Durfus. But first, checking into the game for Wekiva, Chastity Rosario.
And of course, Mark, as soon as I say Wekiva's running out of steam, they score a point. So Durfus with 5 serves entering this match.
Again, service errors, we talked about it a minute ago, continue to plague the Mustangs. Service back to the Darters, returning to the game for Apopka, number 15, Mila Perry, and next to serve will be Mercedes Portalatin. So a 5-point advantage for Apopka. They need to score 8 more, and Wekiva needs to score 13 in that same amount of time. Rosario, good look toward the middle. Apopka there.
Perry.
Rodriguez with a really rough placement. Oh my goodness, nice work by Hall there, saving that.
Battle at the net, and Messier overpowers Hall for the point.
Lily Messier on the kill. That's her 3rd tonight.
So Porta Layton goes back to work, looking for 2 in a row, 2 points in a row. And instead, she contributes to the Mustang cause, as you like to say, Mark. 18-14.
Service returns to the Mustangs. Next in the rotation for Wekiva, number 5, Tanaya Jackson.
18-13. Jackson. Wekiva's leading kill.
Mela Perry on the darter kill. Her second tonight. And that was just, I mean, you couldn't do it any better from Perry. She saw that there was an uncovered spot in the middle of the floor, and she laser targeted it. Service back to Apopka. Next up, Lyndon Warren.
So 19-13 with Warren, the outside hitter on serve. Durfus sets. JPEG has to take it, and that just throws her entire body position off. 20-13 Apopka now.
JPAC has definitely had her share of misses tonight, but she also hasn't been getting a lot of help from her teammates.
So JPEG came into this match the leading serve receiver with 40, by the way.
Ace for Lyndon Warren. That's her second ace of the night, and it pulls Apopka to within 4 points of taking the match.
So Warren back to work. And she will score the ace.
Back-to-back aces for Lyndon Warren.
The driving downward serve.
And so that momentum shift that we saw that might have been in the middle of the third set with that Rodriguez kill, that was what could have been a turning point. But then that momentum just shifted all the other direction. Here's a shot in the arm, though. Abiana Hall picks up the Mustang kill. That's her 7th kill of the match. Next to serve will be Jenna JPAC. And here you can see, though, you start to see the difference in emotion. You compare the emotional reaction to the kill that you just saw from Abiana Hall to the one that you saw from Juliet Rodriguez several services ago, and you can tell that Wekiva is starting to run out of gas here, and they see that They see the very tall mountain they have to climb in order to not be swept here, and it is starting to wear on them mentally.
Apopka was ahead by a 10-9 score. They then scored 6 of the next 8 serve. JPEG.
Yeah, she thought that might have gone out, but then decided not to take the chance. Rodriguez there is late and lets the ball fall too far. Match point, Darters.
So Messier will be looking to close out Apopka's first victory of the season. And here we go. Rodriguez, and there will not be a return. A rather anticlimactic end, but nonetheless, that's the 25th and final point for Apopka.
That takes us to the end of set number 3. 25-14 is the final score of the third set. And the Darters take a 3-0 lead and take the match. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for coming out tonight to support your Mustang and Blue Darter athletes. We also want to extend a special thank you to those of you joining us online on YouTube or the NFHS Network. Your next chance to see us here at Mustang Arena is going to be at the Colonial game. You can get the complete schedule on our website, WekivaMustangs.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Wekiva Sports. Special thanks to the JROTC for